Right now, former President Jimmy Carter dies at the age of 100. We take a look back at his life. And we take you to a menorah lighting at Hilldale, see how the community is celebrating Hanukkah. And an overnight downtown Madison saw heavy police presence, what we know so far. That's all coming up on News 3 Now at 10. And good evening and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jalen Banks. Former President Jimmy Carter has died at the age of 100. The Carter Center says the 39th president died in Plains, Georgia, surrounded by his family. Carter, a Democrat, served a single term from 1977 to 1981. His most enduring legacy, though, might be as a globe-trotting elder statesman and human rights pioneer during a 43-year retirement. President Joe Biden reacting to the news, saying in part, today, America and the world lost an extraordinary leader, statesman, and humanitarian. Over 6 decades, we had the honor of calling Jimmy Carter a dear friend. But what's extraordinary about Jimmy Carter, though, is that millions of people throughout America and the world who never met him thought of him as a dear friend as well. And Donald Trump took to Truth Social to share his thoughts, saying the challenges Jimmy Carter faced as president came at a pivotal time for our country, and he did everything in his power to improve the lives of all Americans. For that, we all owe a debt to him, and a debt of gratitude. Melania and I are thinking warmly of the Carter family and their loved ones during this time. We urge everyone to keep him in their hearts and their prayers. And Representative Mark Pocan took his words onto X and expressed his gratitude for the Nobel-winning former leader. President Jimmy Carter was a great American. From his groundbreaking work for peace in the Middle East to his decades of work with the Habitat for Humanity, he was a beacon of service, a champion for human rights, including LGBTQIA+. He was a role model for many, and he will be missed. Let's get a look at your certified most accurate forecast with meteorologist Blaze Keller. Blaze, what do you have for us?
You know, it's not too bad out here. We're going to watch as the cloud cover continues to keep us on the mild side yet again this evening. A little bit of rain maybe still along the Lake Michigan shoreline, but like last night going into your Sunday, we're also going to be dealing with that fog as well. Let's take a look at the radar to kind of see where maybe some of those rain showers are. Again, you know, a lot of us didn't even see that rain today, but further east, we're going to continue to keep that chance for maybe a stray to isolated light rain shower drizzle at the most. And I'm looking at folks mainly to the east of Dane County, probably even to the east of Jefferson County there, just because this low pressure system and the rain, it didn't really move back west. So we didn't see a lot of that rainfall kind of lingering as we go into the afternoon. Take a look at our visibilities. As I mentioned, we are going to be dealing with fog yet again this evening, developing and sticking around overnight into the morning hours on Monday. However, as of now, we don't have any dense fog advisories. A lot of that is well off to our north and west, but visibilities are starting to drop just over the border there in Decorah. So folks along the Mississippi River, I'd give it maybe a few more hours before some of that fog starts to move on in. We also find some lower visibilities off towards Fond du Lac County, Manitowoc, as well as Sheboygan. Again, we're probably going to see maybe a few dense fog advisories, I would say further north and west to start, and then maybe those advisories extend their way south and east, where we'll, of course, let you know. But here's a look at future track visibility as maybe a lot of us are returning back to work after the holidays here, or if you're still not at work, just know that it's just going to be foggy as we go into your Monday morning. If you're going to be driving early, just know that that fog is going to be around, but it will start to thin or kind of move on out of here the further we go into your morning hours on Monday, and by the afternoon, we should be just left with those cloudy conditions. Tonight, another mild one, upper 20s to low 30s, staying mostly cloudy. Maybe some light drizzle that could also be expected into your Monday as well after that fog burns on off. But as we go into the new year, a big cool down and possibly a prolonged cool down is set to take over parts of not only Wisconsin and the Midwest, but the United States as well. We've got a full write-up about kind of the explanation, and you can go on over to our website in the latest Beyond the Barometer. But if you stick with us here in the full forecast, I'm going to break it all down and kind of talk about why we will be cooling on down and actually slipping well below where we should be for this time of year, even though it's January in the full forecast.
All right, sounds good, Blaze. Thank you. And with all of the things that he just mentioned, you can stay up to date on the weather on our First Warn Forecast weather app. It has hourly forecast, road conditions, and the latest radar. You can download it for free in your phone's app store. All you have to do is search WISC weather. And here in Wisconsin, as temperatures fluctuate between warm and cold, it's important to remember the dangers of going onto frozen lakes or rivers. The saying always goes that no ice is safe ice, and that cannot be more true as multiple people fell into the water on the back of Bay of Lake Onalaska in La Crosse County. It happened Saturday as first responders were sent to Lake Onalaska for 2 people who fell in while ice fishing. The 2 were able to self-rescue with the help of bystanders. However, one was taken from the scene by an ambulance. A DNR conservation warden was at the scene telling WISC-TV that anytime you see water pooling on the ice, it's a sign that the conditions are not safe. Madison police are saying a disturbance near the downtown area caused a heavy police presence this morning. MPD officers were alerted to a shots fired call around the area of North Broome Street and West Johnson Street, several blocks west of the Capitol. They arrived finding out that no gun was actually fired. One person, however, was arrested, but the details on the arrest are unclear at this time. There is no current danger to the public. Now, our very own Tanasia Shaw is at Hilldale Mall for a local Hanukkah celebration. Tanasia, what can you share with us?
Hi, Jalen. I'm here at Hilldale Mall where just about 30 minutes ago, there was dozens of people here to celebrate the 5th night of Hanukkah. I was at a Kwanzaa event yesterday, so I guess I'm getting my holidays mixed up. But it's showing you how everybody is just coming together to celebrate the holidays, all of them. Now, behind me, you see a menorah, the 5th light, the 5th candle is lit, and that's what everybody was celebrating. And this is the 50th anniversary of public lightings of menorahs, not just in Wisconsin, but all over the United States. So it's really showing how everyone is coming together to spread positivity, and just celebrate the holidays. Now, I'm here with a Jewish community leader who's going to tell us more about how we're celebrating Kwanzaa and what happened about 30 minutes ago. Hi, Mushki Matasov. If you could just give a recap of the festivities, what would you tell the people today?
So this was an incredible display of Jewish pride. We have over 300 people here, and we had a chocolate gelt drop with the fire truck, the firemen, thank you to the Madison Police Department, going way up high, throwing the coins down. It's a highlight for everybody. We lit the menorah with everybody. We heard from the governor and the county executive and the sheriff, and that was amazing. And it's just so empowering, and it's like a boost of energy to see so many people celebrating together out loud and proud. And there's a lot of darkness out there, and Hanukkah is all about the message of spreading the light, and every day adding another candle, which is really about, we're not happy with today's light. Tomorrow we have to add more light, and a little light dispels so much darkness, and that's the message of Hanukkah, that every one of us can add more light in any way that we can, by doing a good deed, by doing a mitzvah, and that's the message of Hanukkah, adding light. Everybody can add light, and we're so happy to be here, and it's like so incredible to see so many people, hundreds of people coming out, not only at home, but to take the light to the streets.
And that's something that I heard everybody say, that spreading the light is important, not only during the holidays, but 365. So tell me, why, you talked about it a little bit during your first answer, but why is spreading positivity important?
Well, there's a lot of darkness in the world. We all know that. You know, you turn on the news and you hear darkness and you hear about scary stuff. And we all have the ability to add goodness, whether it be at home with our families or with our friends or going to a community center and making sure to spread goodness to other people, because each one of us have a light inside of us. And when we share light, when you take one fire and you light another fire, you don't diminish the first flame. It just doubles. And every time we add a good deed and we add light, we're just doubling our light. And everybody has the capability to do that.
What was your favorite part about this ceremony today?
My favorite part is seeing the pride on people's faces and the happiness and the shock at seeing so many people, seeing so many people gather together really inspires people. And the kids, just their smiles is really amazing.
And I know I just said I seen dozens out here today. I would probably, if I was to eyeball it, probably say around 40 to 50 people here at Hilldale Mall. How has it grown over the years? We were talking earlier, you said this is the 8th or 9th anniversary.
So there was actually closer to 300 people here. I know because we were giving out goodie. We had glow sticks, we had LED necklaces. So there was close to 300 people here. And I would say we had, during COVID, we actually did a drive-up menorah lighting where everyone stayed in their car and watched a show from their cars. And it's definitely been growing over the year. Probably the first year, 9 years ago, we had about 50 people, but we had close to 300 people here tonight, and it's amazing to see that. And the celebration is open to everybody in the community.
Okay, and then last question. What does Hanukkah mean to you?
Hanukkah to me means love and light and community and celebration.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Jalen, I'm going to send it back to you. I'll have a full package on this. Well, I should say a full story on this where you can see all the festivities tonight at 10. Reporting in Madison, Tanasia Shaw, News 3 Now.
Sounds good. Thank you, Tanasia. Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, New Year's. It's called the holiday season for a reason. Coming up next on News 3 Now at 5:30, the latest out of South Korea as officials deal with the fallout of a plane crash that claimed the lives of nearly 200 people. Thank you for staying with us. A deadly plane crash in South Korea has claimed the lives of more than 170 people. A passenger jet burst into flames after it skidded off a runway. Flight 2216 was carrying 181 passengers from Bangkok, Thailand. Rescue crews immediately launched a search for survivors. At least 2 crew members were pulled out of the wreckage, alive and conscious. But officials say most of the people on board died in the fire. The airline CEO said, "We will make every effort to support the family members of the passengers and do our best to find the cause of the accident with the government." The airline said the 15-year-old Boeing 737-800 jet was up to date on its maintenance, and there were no warning signs. The early focus of the investigation on why landing gear snapped and malfunction is underway. Officials have recovered the plane's black box with flight data and cockpit voice recordings, and Korean officials said the air control tower had issued a bird strike warning to the plane before landing. In a statement, Boeing said it is in contact with the airline and, quote, "We extend our deepest condolences to the families who lost loved ones, and our thoughts remain with the passengers and crew." And Congress stripped the IRS of an additional $20 billion last week when averting the government shutdown. Originally, congressional Democrats had given the IRS $80 billion in the 2022 Inflation Reduction Act. But in 2023, in that budget deal, Congress revoked $20 billion of that. And after the government shutdown fight last week, another $20 billion was clawed back. That's half of the amount the Biden administration intended to help improve the tax agency. Biden administration officials said the cuts would add $140 billion to the national debt over the next decade by hampering the agency's ability to catch wealthy tax cheats. The administration officials said the agency will conduct 400 fewer audits of major businesses each year and 1,200 fewer audits of high-income individuals. Coming up after the break, Blaze Keller is back with a complete look at your First Warn forecast.
All right, we are getting ready for not only New Year's Eve, but a big cool down. And we're going to talk about why here in just a moment. If you hadn't, head on over to our website. You can also read about it in our latest Beyond the Barometer as well. But it's not just because we're going to kick off January, which is obviously the coldest month and kind of period of Wisconsin's season and really year. It actually has to do with some conditions off the coast of California and the West Coast. We'll talk about that here in just a moment. But let's obviously get first through these next few days. We're getting closer to New Year's Eve as well. Monday, we're going to stay mostly cloudy, maybe some light precipitation as our next system moves on in. We are going to be dealing with some light snow as we go throughout your Tuesday, New Year's Eve daytime hours. But as we go into the time frame when we're ringing in the new year, we should see the last of those snowflakes wrap up by about 7, if not 6 o'clock at the latest on your Tuesday. And then from there on out, we're hanging out underneath mostly cloudy conditions with temperatures in those mid to upper 20s as we're saying hello to 2025. In terms of snow totals throughout the day on Tuesday, we'll be lucky if we probably see a half an inch. A lot of this moisture is still off to our south. Don't be surprised if you see snowflakes throughout the daytime hours on Tuesday, but impactful weather doesn't really look to be in the forecast, not only New Year's Eve day, but also as we ring in the new year. And then the cold arrives. We've been talking about this for quite some time as we're now sitting underneath a 70 to 80% chance of cooler than normal temperatures from the 6th through the 10th. And that continuation of cold trending or colder than normal trending temperatures extends to about the 8 to 14 day time frame, still underneath that 70 to 80% chance of cooler than normal temperatures. So why is this happening? Well, we have to look off towards the West Coast specifically. There is a high pressure system right now. This is kind of currently. A high pressure system is sitting off the California coast, and we've got cold air off into northwestern parts of not only Canada, but Alaska as well. As we get closer to the start of the new year and after, we're going to watch as a series of low pressure systems come out of the Pacific, and that high pressure system is going to be moving its way northwards, causing kind of a tunnel, if you will, of warmer air that's going to have to push out that very cold air that's currently sitting over parts of Alaska. Think of it as when you put ice in a glass of water. While the water level changes, you haven't added any new water, you just added that ice. You make room for that ice by moving the water. And that's essentially what the cold air is doing. It's making room for that warm air out of the Pacific by being pushed over not only Wisconsin, but anywhere that you see the pink there as we go into those first few days of January. That's kind of the easiest way to really explain it. We have to make room for that warmer air off in Alaska by taking the cold air now and putting it somewhere else. And so until this ridge, this warmer air over Alaska breaks down, we're going to be sitting underneath the trough of the jet stream or that cooler air. And for now, it looks like that could be over the next, or for at least the first week to week and a half of January. Now, as the cooler temperatures by a degree, several degrees, we're going to have to take it day by day. But it does look like the cooler air does arrive as we kick off the new year, as I mentioned, with some snowflake chances there that upcoming weekend and then that following work week. But if all things kind of pan out, I would say January kind of 5th through maybe the 10th looks to be cold, to say the least.
You started smiling. I could tell it was like a mischievous kind of spurt.
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to it.
No, the weather models, I mean, I take it with somewhat a grain of salt, but they are not going to be nice to us if it all pans out. But it is winter. We are Wisconsinites. I just wanted to kind of explain, it's not just because we're going into January. It's because we're seeing warmer air move into Alaska, and the cold air that's there now is essentially being pushed over us.
So we should be angry with them.
Yeah, blame it on Alaska. But don't tell them I told you to do that.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Blaze. And coming up in sports, our Andrew Banstra joins us with the latest highlights.
The Packers have the 6th best record in the entire NFL, but just the 3rd best record in their own division, the NFC North. They are winless this season against the Lions and the Vikings, but are 11-1 against everyone else. In fact, the only team the Packers have lost to since they lost to the Vikings all the way back in late September is the Lions, twice. Even though the Pack have already locked up their playoff spot, getting a win in Minnesota today would go a long ways for a lot of reasons. But for as good as Green Bay has been of late, today it just has not been. They were down 20-3. An interception set them up for a Josh Jacobs touchdown. That's how they got to 10. But as we sit, it's 27-10 Minnesota. It just has not been Green Bay's day. Well, another week in the NFL means another week for former Badgers showing out on the biggest stage in the NFL. Last week, we showed you Jonathan Taylor scoring 3 touchdowns and keeping his Colts playoff hopes alive. This week, he tried to do the same thing. The Wisconsin legend scored not 1, but 2 more touchdowns today. His 9th and 10th rushing scores of the season and his 5th in his last 2 games. The bad news for JT and his Colts, they did lose to the Giants 45-33, which ends Indianapolis's postseason hopes. Well, Wisconsin men's hockey has owned the Quick Trip Holiday Faceoff since it was created in 2021. They won the inaugural faceoff back in 21, and they won it last year. They're looking for their 3rd win in this event today as they play UConn right now in the faceoff final, looking for that 3rd victory in the event. And as we speak, we're still scoreless. Tommy Scarfone has been fantastic. The Badgers have only seen 3 shots their way, and they've outshot the Huskies 14-3 right now, though, still scoreless. Well, it's been a year for running backs in a lot of ways. Jonathan Taylor, a big day. Josh Jacobs with a touchdown in his 7th straight game, which ties Paul Hornung for a Packers record for most touchdowns in a game. That was back in 1960. So it's kind of been the year of the running back, and the last one would be Saquon Barkley. Kind of did a little something today, hitting 2,000 yards on the season. Yeah, he hit 2,000. Derrick Henry's probably going to eclipse the 2,000-yard mark next week as well. Happy to see that position is back to prominence. Absolutely. One that had kind of gone through some flutters in the last couple of years, especially financially. For sure. All right, well, sounds good. Thank you, Andrew. We'll be back with more after this. Before we touch on weather real quick, we had some technical difficulties this show. You guys may have noticed we didn't have any video.
They're all good to go. They'll be good for News 3 now at 10. Thank you for your patience and for tuning in this evening. Blaze?
It's going to be another cloudy and foggy night across southern Wisconsin. Mild, though, upper 20s to low 30s. And there is a look at your 10-day forecast if it wants to go. There we go. We're cooling down as we kick off the new year.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys. We'll see you back 10 o'clock.